Hi, fourth grade. All right, I'm going to go over our morning. Since I was out this afternoon, those already have videos, so I'm just going to go over the math, the reading, and the writing that we did today. And then the video for science and social studies you can find on the agenda. So let's go ahead and get started. So in math today, we are in the orange box here. We did a lesson on multiples. And this was in our Seesaw. So in Seesaw, if you go to activities, and go down to math for week 14. All right, so for math today, we started on page 5. So we reviewed factors. So remember, a factor is something that you multiply together to get a product. So here, the factors of 32, 1 and 32, 2 and 16, 4 and 8. And those numbers, because we're multiplying them together to give us 32, that those are the factors of 32. So we went over this, and then today we introduced the word multiples. And when you think about multiples, I want you to think, or when you hear the word multiples, I want you to think skip counting. So a multiple is the product of a given number. When you multiply those factors together, so like 4 and 9, you multiply that together, you get 36. So when you find the multiples, you're going and you're doing that skip counting. You're going straight down the line. So the multiples of 4, you're going to do 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3. So all of these answers here are the multiples of 4. So the first 5 would be 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. So think skip counting. Okay. So to practice that, we used a 100 chart on page 6, and we skip counted our 2s, our 3s, our 5s, and our 10s. And then we made some observations about what we saw and what we noticed. Then on page 7 was our independent work that we did today. So you're picking 3 problems from the left and 2 problems from the right, and you're solving those. And we did one of each together. So here on the left, let me zoom in. When you're finding the first multiples of 9, again, you're taking 9 and you're skip counting. So 9, if you add another group of 9, you get 18. Add another group of 9, you get 27. Add another group of 9, 36. Another group of 9, you get 45. So 9, 18, 27, 36, and 45 are the first multiples of 5. Then over here you're comparing 2 different multiples, and you're using a Venn diagram. So the multiples of 3, the multiples of 2. So you have a box of numbers down here at the bottom. So we found, we said that 3 and 15 are multiples of 3. And when I'm skip counting, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, each of those numbers come up, but they're not multiples of 2. Because when I'm skip counting my 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, none of these numbers, they only show up for 3. So the numbers that are just multiples of 2 go here on the right. The numbers that are just multiples of 3 go on the left. And the ones that are multiples of them both go in the middle here. So students can pick again, they need to do 2 more problems on the left, and then another one of these so they can pick which one they want to do on the right. And make sure that you're using the T to type so it looks nice and neat. And then they watched this video here, And that was that was the end on multiples. We draft that. Then in reading today, we were also in Seesaw. And we continued with cause and effect. All right. So all right, so we were on page 4. So we read the story called Sweet Tooth, and we looked and we found the summary. So, summary, we were going back and forth between these for a while, and we really had to take them piece by piece, and we really had to think about, okay, which one has things that have to do with the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, the end of the story, really making sure that we're covering the whole thing and not just part of it. So we ended up going with B. Bad sugars found in sweet foods affect the brain like a drug addiction. Craving sugar causes overeating, which causes weight gain and other health problems. Drink water instead of sodas and eat small amounts of sugar to stay healthy and happy. So we ended up choosing that one, and we thought that it covered the story the best, and that it had the most information compared with the other ones. So we were highlighting, we were debating back and forth about, what has what, and so on. All right, and then on page 5, students did these 4 questions independent. And then on page 6, we did these together where we looked at these causes and filled in these effects. And we were going back to the text to find those. And then for independent work, students had page 5, page 7, and page 8. So 5, 7, 8. And on 7, they're just reading this passage and recording what they're thankful for. And then they're reading this passage and they're recording how they would have felt traveling on the Mayflower. And then they need to draft that to save their work. Then in writing today, under activities, go down to writing for week 14. All right. So we reviewed what is in an expository essay. So we went back over the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And so we reviewed some of these pages here that we talked about yesterday. And then I let students respond. So in the introduction, they said that we have to have that central idea, we have to have that hook. In the body, we have to give our reasons and our supporting details. So those are the 2 pieces that we've been working on the introduction. Now we've introduced the body, so we're practicing with that. So here on page 13, we went over these 2 questions. And so on this one, this was a spelling error, so we had to fix that. And then on 15, um, changing the word bring to brought. So we went through, and all of these that said, change this to this or this to this, we took the one that it wanted us to change and we plugged it in to see how it fit. And if it did not sound correct, then we knew that that wasn't our answer. So, for example, like on C, if I changed thought to thinked, when Mark showed his painting to Mrs. Dunlap, she thinked it was brilliant. That's not correct. So we know that that's not our answer. So just going through each one and either replacing it or like on D here, deleting the comma. So we read it. When we read it with the pause, and we read it without the pause. We decided that the pause was needed. So just going through and checking each one is what we did and practiced on those two. And then 14 students had the remaining of the time to go back and page 14. Students had the remaining of the time to go back to page 14, and they wrote with this prompt here. This is the same one that I modeled above right here on page 10. So you can look at my model here. But on page 14, they're writing the introduction and the body. So it's not the entire paper. We're not at the conclusion yet. It's just the introduction where they have the hook and the central idea, and then the body where they have their reasons and their supporting details. So here we did a topic brainstorm where we brainstormed 4 different people. We picked one, and that's going to be the one that we write about. That is our special person. So I really just wanted to see where everybody is at. So moving forward, I can see, okay, do we need to work on transitions, or do we need to work on expanding those, details and ideas? Do we need to have, more evidence and things like that? So I really just wanted to see where we're at. So we're going to do lots of sharing tomorrow. So make sure that this gets done on page 14, and then go ahead and draft that to save your work. And then, like I said, on the agenda, if you go down after science, after lunch and recess, the kids had science and social studies. So the link for the asynchronous lesson is here. So this is the video that is going over science and social studies. And so make sure that those two get done as well. And I will see everybody tomorrow. Thank you.